In this world, there exist monsters known as Verugas. They were once humans or animals, but were transformed by a mysterious organization. Their bodies were altered using a special cell-modifying drug. In the end, they became powerful monsters. An amnesiac boy sold himself to a wealthy woman named Mine, just when Mine was about to make a move on him. He told her she smelled too strong, which enraged her so much she almost slapped him to death. The boy raised his arm to shield his head, revealing a bracelet on his wrist. It was the unique mark of an organization called Circus. Circus is a group dedicated to capturing evil Verugas, and every member of Circus possesses immense power. Mine knew better than to mess with anyone from Circus. Right at that moment, an explosion rocked the mansion. Mine rushed off to see what had happened. Meanwhile, a black-haired boy named Gariki dropped down from the ceiling. He was a notorious thief making a living off stealing. Through their conversation, Gariki learned the white-haired boy's name was Muhinyi. He didn't remember anything about himself, except for one friend named Kuroku. Muhinyi begged Gariki to help him escape, but Gariki demanded the bracelet on Muhinyi's wrist as payment. Muhinyi agreed, but only if Gariki helped him find Kuroku. Just as Gariki unlocked the handcuffs, Mine appeared in the doorway. The next moment, her body began to mutate. She was a Veruga all along. No wonder she was so afraid of Muhinyi's bracelet. Gariki grabbed Muhinyi and ran for it, but the Veruga wouldn't let them go so easily. They had learned her true identity. She had to kill them to silence them. Even her own subordinates. She wanted to kill them with her own hands. In a desperate moment, Gariki threw a crate of explosives. The blast didn't hurt Mine, but it did cause her to fall into a massive hole created by the explosion. Muhinyi and Gariki took the chance to flee. At that moment, a mysterious man found Mine. He scolded her for ruining his plan. Elsewhere, two members of Circus were already on their way. By the time they arrived at the scene of the explosion, Mine had already been reported dead. Meanwhile, Muhinyi and Gariki had escaped onto a passing train. Gariki started asking about Muhinyi's past, but found out that Muhinyi had amnesia. Suddenly, Muhinyi heard a strange noise. Gariki noticed something too. And then two people dropped down from the roof of the train car. They were members of Circus, Hirado and Tsukumo. Hirado knocked Gariki down with a single blow. Just then, a group of people rushed in from the back of the train. They were robbers who had kidnapped a rich man's daughter and planted bombs in every train car. Hirado and Tsukumo quickly took them down. Then Muhinyi heard the strange noise again. Moments later, one of the train cars exploded. Gariki realized Muhinyi's hearing was far more sensitive than a normal person's. Muhinyi quickly located the bomb. Hirado told them to stand back, then pulled out a longsword and sliced the train car clean off, easily neutralizing the threat. Gariki took Muhinyi to an abandoned building, then went out to find food, warning Muhinyi to stay hidden, but Muhinyi snuck out anyway. At that moment, a carnival was taking place in town. Muhinyi learned that the participants were all circus members, so he asked them if they knew Kuroku, but just then, the bad guys found him. Muhinyi took off running. On the way, he accidentally knocked over a cat that was performing. Gariki found him, and they hid together in an alley, but on their way back, a man walking toward them suddenly electrocuted Gariki unconscious. They even planned to kill Gariki on the spot. Luckily, the cat Muhinyi had knocked over earlier showed up. Turns out, it was Yogi, a member of Circus. Seeing this, the attackers immediately fled. It turns out that Hirado had secretly assigned Yogi to protect Muhinyi all along. At that moment, a massive airship hovered above them. It was the exclusive base of Circus. Yogi picked up the two of them and leapt straight into the airship. They were greeted by a herd of sheep, which also served as the ship's security and monitoring system. Hirado introduced himself as the captain of Ship No. 2. Muhinyi immediately asked about Kuroku, but Hirado told him there had never been anyone named Kuroku in the circus organization, and the bracelet Muhinyi wore was actually an outdated model that had been phased out. Hirado then questioned Gariki about the rich woman from earlier. Gariki was also curious what kind of monster was she. Hirado explained that the woman was from a mysterious organization called Kafka. They were a criminal group that spread viruses through blood to recruit new members. These members would eventually become monsters. They called these monsters Verugas. To confirm whether Muhinyi and Gariki had been infected, Hirado decided to keep them on board for testing. He instructed Tsukumo and Yogi to keep an eye on them, but Gariki quickly got bored. He didn't want to stay there, so Yogi suggested they all play a game of hide and seek. But while hiding, Muhinyi ended up crawling into a ventilation duct and accidentally fell out of the airship. When he opened his eyes, a Veruga stood before him. The Veruga said he had been waiting for him for a long time. Just as things turned critical, Yogi and Tsukumo arrived in time. The Veruga used his powerful body to slam Yogi out of the way. Suddenly, a strand of hair whipped out and bound Tsukumo. Turns out there was another Veruga hiding underground. The Veruga flew right up to Muhinyi, intending to capture him. At that moment, the sheep butler appeared and rescued Muhinyi on the spot. Seeing their plan fail, the two Verugas quickly retreated. Back on the ship, Muhinyi suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head. Then a voice echoed inside his mind, and he passed out immediately afterward. Far away, someone was using a ring to influence Muhinyi's brainwaves, and that person was none other than Koku, the one Muhinyi had been searching for. A doctor examined Muhinyi, but found nothing abnormal. Still, Gariki wasn't satisfied with the results, and insisted the doctor check again. The doctor ignored him, and left without another word. Meanwhile, Muhinyi was having a strange dream. He dreamt of Koku. Koku said he was throwing him a birthday party today. Muhinyi was happy at first, but then Koku told him to cut ties with Gariki immediately. Muhinyi refused. Koku replied, "If you don't, I'll kill him." Muhinyi woke up in fright. When he saw Gariki in front of him, he remembered the dream and shoved Gariki away. Gariki was confused, but didn't overthink it. He figured Muhinyi just had a nightmare and went out to find the doctor, but Muhinyi chased after him and tried to hand over his bracelet to Gariki, but Gariki refused. Clearly not wanting to part ways with him, Muhinyi couldn't hold back his tears. At the same time, the doctor was in Hirato's office. He privately told Hirato that Muhinyi wasn't human, he was a different kind of being altogether, so Hirato decided to bring Muhinyi back to the research lab to uncover his true identity. Soon, Hirato brought them to the research facility. They ran tests on both Muhinyi and Gariki. After the examination, the two of them returned to their room, where they started talking about their pasts. Gariki recalled his traumatic childhood, a painful memory he could never forget. He saw a reflection of his own experiences in Muhinyi, which was why he always tried to protect him. Meanwhile, Muhinyi's test results came in. It turned out someone had fused the cells of a creature called Niji with human cells, which resulted in the creation of Muhinyi. To learn more about the abilities of this new species, higher-ups immediately ordered Dr. Akari to dissect Muhinyi. As expected, in the face of profit, some people are willing to abandon their humanity, but Dr. Akari flat-out rejected the order. Instead, he decided to go investigate Muhinyi's hometown to find out who was behind his creation. With everyone's approval, Akari took Yogi and Gariki and headed to the place where Muhinyi had grown up. They ventured deep into the forest, and after passing through a barrier, they entered a dreamlike forest. There, they discovered an abandoned research facility. Suddenly, a swarm of black insects attacked them. Yogi immediately stepped forward to drive them away. Muhinyi, trying to protect a rabbit, also got attacked by the monsters, but then the monsters shifted their target to Gariki. Yogi chased after them to save Gariki. At that moment, a woman covered in gemstones appeared. She took out the monster in a single strike and rescued Gariki. It turned out she was also a member of circus, and her name was Eva. Akari told Gariki and Eva to head back first, while he, Yogi, and Muhinyi stayed to investigate further. At that moment, Muhinyi seemed to catch a glimpse of Koku. After all, Koku had once been the closest person to him, but elsewhere, in a distant mansion, a wounded Koku was recovering. He, too, seemed to be thinking about Muhinyi. At the same time, Muhinyi and the others discovered a hidden compartment in a cave. Inside it was a notebook. After returning from the cave, Tsukumo found them as well. Seeing Tsukumo made Eva visibly happy. Gariki took the initiative to bring up the notebook they found, but Yogi said it was full of numbers and symbols, completely unreadable. After wrapping things up there, they spent a long time resting and recovering. One day, Hirato gave them a new mission. They were to investigate a base in the northeast. Amidst the falling snow, the staff told them that Hirato had prepared a gift for them, a cute little snowman. Yogi absolutely loved it. Then the group arrived at a suspicious-looking house, but they didn't find any valuable clues inside. Only Gariki managed to obtain a handgun. On their way back, they suddenly realized that the little snowman was missing. They decided to turn around and search for it. Soon, they found a massive hole in the road. Yogi decided to take the two of them down to investigate, while Tsukumo stayed above to provide backup. As soon as they descended, they discovered a hidden chamber. When Yogi opened the door, he got startled by a creepy doll inside. But Mohinyi calmly walked in. He picked up the doll, and beneath it was a small sealed box. Meanwhile, members of the Kafka organization had also arrived. Turns out they were the ones who had stolen the snowman. Just as Mohinyi and the others emerged from the cave entrance, they were ambushed. Yogi told Tsukumo to take Mohinyi to safety, while he and Gariki stayed behind to fight. But during the battle, the bandage on Yogi's face accidentally fell off. In that instant, it was as if a seal had been broken. Vines began sprouting all around him, launching wild, uncontrolled attacks. The Yogi who stood up afterwards seemed like a completely different person. His hair had turned completely white. The Kafka agents, realizing something was wrong, immediately tried to flee, but on the way out, they ran into Tsukumo. The man smugly told her that Yogi had gone berserk, while Tsukumo was momentarily distracted. He launched a surprise attack. Mohinyi could only watch helplessly as the enemy took Tsukumo away. Meanwhile, the crazed Yogi tore through the vines. Inside was Gariki. Wrapped up in them, Gariki headbutt Yogi straight on. The sharp pain snapped Yogi back to his senses instantly, and his hair returned to its normal color. Carrying the unconscious Yogi on his back, Gariki trudged through the snow with great effort. Just then, they ran into Mohinyi, who told them that Tsukumo had been captured by the enemy. Elsewhere, Tsukumo regained consciousness and found herself locked inside a mansion. Outside, a party was going on. She tried to take the opportunity to escape, but the moment she stepped out, she ran into a girl. The girl screamed, immediately drawing the attention of the butler. Yuro punished two of his subordinates on the spot and ordered that Tsukumo be captured again immediately. By this time, Tsukumo had already escaped into the forest. As the enemy closed in, she had resolved that if she was caught again, she would take her own life. She would never let herself become a liability to Circus. While running, she accidentally stumbled into a room full of flowers, and the man in that room was none other than Kuroku, the one Mohinyi had been searching for all this time. Tsukumo warned Kuroku not to make a sound, but Kuroku used a ring on his finger to knock her unconscious. He placed her into a flower-filled boat. At that moment, Hiroto tracked her down through her locator. After checking, Hiroto confirmed that Tsukumo was still alive, just in a state of suspended animation. But why didn't Kuroku kill her? And who really is he? This mission marked the first time Circus had launched a full team operation, thanks to the information Tsukumo had provided. They now knew the location of the Kafka organization's base. Gariki and Yogi charged in first. Their job was to disable the defense system, so the rest of the team could storm the place. Because Gariki had stolen a security guard's phone, and being a top-tier hacker, he easily hacked into the entire estate's security network. Once the signal was sent, Hiroto gave the order. All combat personnel moved in fast. They quickly took control of the forces guarding the estate grounds. At the same time, Butler Yuro received news of the attack and immediately released the monster he had been developing to launch a fierce counterattack. A chaotic battle broke out on all sides. At that moment, Eva and Tsukumo located Yuro's position. Yuro tried to stall for time, but Eva kicked him straight down the stairs. Still, Yuro was a Kafka executive. Even facing the combined strength of Eva and Tsukumo, he fought back with ease. The three of them battled their way from the mansion into the depths of the forest. But just as Eva got distracted for a second, Yuro appeared right in front of her and knocked her to the ground in one swift move. Tsukumo didn't last long either. Yuro quickly took her down, but Yuro didn't realize he had already walked into a trap. It turned out Hiroto had set up a ceiling formation beforehand to capture Yuro alive, and Eva and Tsukumo's defeat had been a deliberate act. At this point, most of the battlefield had settled, but something unexpected happened in the forest. Yuro used a special summoning ritual to amplify his power. In an instant, he broke through the seal and summoned his most powerful monster. all forces were redirected to assist the forest team. Everyone quickly gathered to face off against Yuro. Yuro used the monster to block the circus members from advancing, but he made no move to attack Mahinyi and Gariki. Instead, he transported them to a mysterious space. There, they finally came face to face with the Kuroko that Mahinyi had been looking for. On the ground lay a wounded man who looked exactly like Kuroko. Gariki immediately warned Mahinyi. The man lying on the ground was the real Kuroko. The man standing before them, it turned out, was like Mahinyi, a being created through gene fusion. He told Mahinyi he only came to see him one last time, and to return the real Kuroko to him. With that, he sent all three of them out of the space. At the same time, the battle had officially ended. Knowing he was outmatched, Yuro fled the scene. The injured Kuroko was still alive, but no one knew when he would wake up. After this whole ordeal, Gariki realized he wasn't strong enough to protect Mahinyi, so he decided to go to the circus training base. Once he became strong enough, he promised to return, and with that, the first season of the anime comes to an end.